All right, so we got Mr. Marcus OT here, and I just kind of want to get into your background. First of all, thank you for coming on. I know this is we had a little bit of back and forth trying to get you on, and that's part of my problem too. Super Bowl weekend, it was what it was. So just want to get into your background. So let my people know about you, my guy.
My name is Marques Singleton, aka OT. I'm from Philadelphia, PA. I'm from the West Philadelphia section of Philadelphia. I would say is what you would call a journeyman, a grinder. That's what you would say I am. I am the best, in my opinion, definition of that. I'm what you call also a late bloomer.
Mm-hmm.
But I always had the work ethic. So I'm a good inspiration and example for the guy that has the talent, doesn't have the name, or maybe just is not at the level where he think he should be at a younger age, but maybe he surpassed people later. So, as I said, I'm from West Philadelphia. I was the typical guy that just loved basketball.
Okay.
Michael Jordan had me watching basketball. Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant made me want to play basketball.
Yeah.
I went to Lower Marion in high school, is where I graduated from. But I went to Lamberton High School, where I grew up with Kobe Bryant's cousin, Sean Cox. Rest in peace, he's no longer with us. Me and him used to go back and forth. Who's better, AI Kobe? Of course, he would say Kobe. I would say AI, But I was just that guy that just loved basketball. Always would try to play with the more talented, older, bigger kids. I would normally be the last guy to get picked at the playground. I was really small. I'd say by my senior year, I might have been 5'7".
Mm-hmm.
By senior year, I probably got to about 6 foot. After high school, I grew another 2 inches. So I was just one of those guys that just, whether I would get picked or I would be the last guy, I would go in the far end and just practice and shoot and dribble. At the time I was growing up, we didn't have all the fortunes that these kids have now.
Mm-hmm.
We trainers, we didn't have NBA guys, D1 guys, overseas guys teaching us how to play basketball. The way we learned how to play basketball was by watching the games live, going to the park, and if you were fortunate enough to go to basketball camp. We didn't have no trainers. We didn't have none of that. So if you wanted to work on your game when I was coming up, you went to the park. You tried it on your homies. You practiced in gym class. That's how we learned the game. Okay? So, like I said, my situation was a journey from the rip. I got cut twice in high school, didn't stop, kept grinding, kept working out, kept playing. Played AAU ball. Went on to the JUCO, to Delaware County Community College. Went there. First year, got cut. Didn't make that, but stayed ready. Didn't give up. Once Christmas time came around, middle of the year, a couple guys wasn't eligible. Coach called me, asked was I still interested. I was already in my car on my way to go meet him before I even got off.
Nice.
Showed up, did my thing, went from 12th man on the bench, played my way into a 6-man role my first year, to the second half of my first year into my second year, became a starter. Did my thing. Like I said, worked on my game, never got comfortable. At that time, that's when I met Casey. Around that time. At that time, the street ball thing going on. It was up and coming. During that time, I was growing up. So, as I said, I stayed in the playground. That's where I played. That's where I learned mostly all my skills in the game. So during that time, I found a liking to street ball. Okay, so every time anyone came to my city, I was at every open run. When they came to New York, my neighbor cities and states, New York, D.C., Maryland, wherever these guys were, I was there trying to get on. Unfortunately, at the time, I was too young. I wasn't 18 yet. So I couldn't go on tour. I couldn't do anything really. So I was pretty much 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening was when I got old enough, it came to the point now when these guys were coming to Philly, it came to the point now where they would be contacting me, telling me where they practicing at. So I would be there with them every time they came to Philly. I would be in there against them guys. The hot sauce, everyone could think of from the era. The hot sauces, the helicopters, the professors.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I was in there, I was pulling up when they would be there. So then when it got to that point, when I finally was older and good enough to compete against these guys and go on tour with these guys, that's when I started playing college ball. So you play collegiate ball.
Yep.
You coaching the collegiate level. I know the levels, not the levels, the rules have changed a little bit in modern times. But at them times, you couldn't accept no money. You couldn't pay to play ball. You couldn't do any of that kind of stuff while you playing in college. So I had to cut that short. So of course I still had the game in me.
Mm-hmm.
My coach wasn't having none of that because I think they didn't change it to my junior year. My freshman, sophomore year, the collegiate 3-point line, as you know, was the second high school one. So hitting threes back then wasn't really as difficult as it is now because whatever you was doing in high school, you could do in college because the line was the same. Now that Stephen Curry, that Jimmer Fredette, that Trey Young, that Damian type of game, pull half court, pulling as soon as you get across the line, that was frowned upon. That wasn't a style of play that people did in the early 2000s. That was something that maybe you would hit 3-4 threes as a team, 5 a game. You didn't have your point guard, 2 guard, 3 guard. Point guard, 2 guard, small forward, power forward, center, all shooting threes. Nor did they have to be able to shoot threes. Your shooting guard and maybe your small forward was shooting, if anything. Everybody else was back to the basket, slash to the basket, mid-range. So I used to get cursed out a lot for pulling up. It's something that I was accustomed to doing. Always could shoot.
Yep.
Then here comes Stephen Curry. Here comes Jody Meeks. Here comes these guys that just basically, because everybody say Curry, they don't give Jody Meeks no credit. Here come these guys changing the dynamics of everything. So then now it becomes a norm. You understand what I'm saying? It becomes a norm. So by the time I finished at the JUCO, then I went to Slippery Rock University.
Mm-hmm.
Had a full scholarship on the table and all that. Matter of fact, partial wasn't really a full, but I say it's a full because, the grants was also in there. But, went up there. They fired the coach. Everything was fine. Fired the coach. I had to try out. Put myself in the same situation where I was before. Only had a year left for eligibility because I spent 3 years at the JUCO. And, did my thing. Coach didn't think it was worth it. So, again, another journey situation. Told me my basketball career was over. So what did I do? When the rest of my buddies, the rest of the team was out here drinking, smoking, BSing around, partying. Not saying I didn't go out, I didn't enjoy myself. I was in the gym. I was working out because I said to myself, this ain't it for me. You know what I'm saying? This ain't it for me. I'm not going to give up, because I was always told you could do whatever you put put your mind to. Whatever you put the time into, you know what I'm saying, you can accomplish it. Period. So from there, I said, let me focus on my studies, get my degree, played in the Merrills, worked out. Right after school was over. Right after. Went to a couple exposure camps. I ain't gonna make it a full story. Went to a couple exposure camps. Had to pay my way to show up, to get to where I needed to get to be seen. And I got my first professional contract with the ABA, with the Chicago Steam. Ron Hicks signed me on the spot. I was at Eurobasket in Chicago. And then from there, everything just went off from there. Still working out in the summer. And then I came home. My cousin told me, like, look, man, why don't you come over to the West Coast out here in LA and come work out out here, meet all the trainers, meet all the pros, because the culture's different. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure the East Coast. I'm from Philly. It ain't no brotherly love. It's a cutthroat, crab in the barrel type city. Everybody looks out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? People look out for who's popular to look out for. It's not that love. If you wasn't a household name in high school, nobody don't care about helping you to get into college. Nobody don't really care about helping you to be a pro. They look at, oh, you wasn't good when you were supposed to be good, or you was average. It's over for you. Go get a day job. I went out there, showed up the parks, showed up the leagues, did my thing. It was over from there. Was working out with the best trainers in LA, working out with Coach Keon. I forget his last name. He coaches in the Drew. Was working out with him. Was working out with Chris Young and them. They had me at the Nike Air West. I'm in there working out with NBA guys. I said, Dad, I could never get this opportunity where I'm from on my side. So I went out there straight, 4 years straight, every summer. I would spend 2 months out there staying at my cousin condo, out there working out. Then next thing you know, I'm back in Philly. I'm playing in, the BS, EBA, the BS semi-pro leagues in the States, trying to do my thing. Mm-hmm. Got off from Alvin Brown, team owner of the Metropolitan All-Stars in the DMV. He had a couple guys that didn't come through. He asked me, like, look, I was impressed by your play when we played y'all. I want to bring you out here. I'm taking some guys on a little tour out here in Peru for like a month and a half. We're going to travel throughout the whole country. We're going to put on a show. I see you have some experience in street ball. I need you to basically be like the entertainer, the hot sauce of the team. Come out here and play structured basketball, but when it's time, put on a show, do some tricks, whatever you could do, just make sure it's legal stuff. Went out there, did my thing 2 years in a row, came back. Then from there, getting opportunities, playing in the DR, playing a couple tournaments out there for like several months. And then next thing I know, from there, I got flew out to Mongolia, went over to Asia, went out there, did my thing out there, was out there for like 2 months. You know what I'm saying? Got called out there to work out with some teams and all that. Went out there. The next thing I know, bam, team out Singapore wants to fly me out. When I'm already out there, I go out Singapore, do my thing. The next thing I know, I'm playing in Singapore again. I'm going to Thailand. I'm going to the Philippines. I'm all over the place to the point that, I didn't think none of this was possible. So my best advice to the 12th man on the bench or the third man in the starting lineup, whatever you did in high school, that can get you to the collegiate level. But once you get to the collegiate level, nobody cares that you was averaging 30 in high school. Nobody cares that you got cut in high school, because MJ got cut in high school. They want to see, what are you doing at the next level? What are you doing here? Okay? They want to know, if you were a leader in high school, can you be a leader on a collegiate level? If you was the man in high school, can you be now a sixth man or eighth man off the bench in college, even though you're good enough to be in the starting lineup? The higher level you go, the more mentally. Okay? Then once you leave college, when you want to pursue the professional field, whether you're in America, whether you're overseas, wherever you are, they want to know, can you do it on this level? Because one thing people need to understand If you was the best player in high school, 9 times on your team or in your conference, 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna be the best player in your conference and on your team in college. Or you gonna have another guy that's just as good as you. It ain't gonna be the same. That's where a lot of guys get mad. I see it all the time. I see guys that was the man in high school, then they go to college and they made a role player and they ready to quit and they can't understand that things change. And you have to be mentally tough. Same thing you go on a professional level. I ain't gonna mention no names, but it was a guy from Philly that is one of the all-time leading scorers in Philadelphia public high school history. He went out overseas to a mid-major level and got sent home after 2 weeks. Why? Wasn't because he wasn't good enough. Wasn't because he wasn't in shape. It was because he couldn't humble himself to understand, look, they already got their score. They already got their rebounder. They need you to come out here and play defense or be the player and run this team. And that's the thing that I wanna help these young guys to understand is okay, you might play 3 games in a row where you have 30. Maybe that 4th game you might only play 10 minutes. Sometimes coaches is testing you to see where your maturity level at, your professionalism. And that's what guys to know, like, don't ever give up if you really want to do this. And this ain't just with basketball. This is with anything. If you really want it, you can have it and you're going to get it. And the same thing I did, anyone else could do. And I really say much about myself, but I really wanted to let guys understand and know that anything is possible. The sky is not the limit. And a lot of things that people need to, one thing that people need to understand is basketball is 90% mental. People, women, all the time, why you not in the NBA? Or why this person ain't making it? Oh, they must not be good enough. It's 450 jobs in the NBA, but guess what? It's thousands of jobs overseas. Hundreds of leagues, maybe thousands. Lots of levels. So at the end of the day, the NBA is the biggest stage, but it ain't the only. And just because you ain't make it to the NBA, don't mean you're a failure. It just means that wasn't your calling.
Mm-hmm.
And business before anything. Sometimes it is personal, but 9 times out of 10, it's a business.
Yep. And just understanding that business side of it, most guys don't get. And we see that at any level. JUCO, 4-year, overseas. The person doesn't understand. They come into the situation. You hear, everybody here is good. It's just the point of how can we make you guys fit together as a team so that way we can all prosper, we can all win. You guys can all eat off each other, sharing the ball, playing defense, talk, all of that stuff in competence together. We're trying to put the best group of people together, a group of people, not basketball players, a group of people together because you all got talent with basketball anyway. So that way we can go and make achievements. And so that way we can get these kids somewhere else. If you in my situation, the 2-year, we want you to go somewhere else after this. Well, you got to be humble enough to accept what you come into here because what it's going to be like when the ramifications are bigger at the 4-year.
Like that thing on Netflix, what's it called? Last Chance U. I'm finishing up the season. I played in pro-ams at LA in that same gym. And when I look at those young guys, man, a lot of those guys, were like D1 players or had the chance, but their grades right. Matter of fact, I forgot to talk about that. Their grades wasn't right. And I look at those guys on there and I say to myself, man, I wish I could talk to them guys, man. I wish I could talk to them guys and tell them guys, like, look, it's not over for you, man. You in a great situation. When people look down on JUCO, man, JUCO is a second chance. A lot of guys went to the NBA from JUCO.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys. And about the grades, what I forgot to mention is That's another thing they pay attention to. Please do your schoolwork. Please be eligible in high school and college. Because ain't no coach got time for nobody who can't stay eligible. Nobody don't have time for that, man. No coach don't have time to go beg your professor to help you out and to tutor you and then just cut some slack and give you an extension on your paper. And nobody don't got time for that. Coaches don't have time. I'm not saying coaches won't and get that, but at the end of the day, they don't have time for that. And a problem that I had was not in high school, really, but in college. You mean I could have went to a low D1, a mid-major maybe, or a high D2 on the strength of my field goal percentage and my three-point shooting. But guess what? I had a few D1s and D2s that wanted to give me a shot. I don't know how much PT I would have got or how it would have worked out, but guess why I didn't get to go to them? Because my grades wasn't right. My grades wasn't right. Stopped me from a lot of opportunities. And I'm not trying to say that everybody would be lucky and still make it as a pro after making all the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But man, don't let the grades be the reason why you get cut from a team, or why you don't get a scholarship, or why you don't finish college, or why you can't play in the championship game. Don't let the grades be the reason. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Because at the end of the day, it's a lot of times where people can be eligible, but they got too much pride to ask for help or to apply themselves to get the work done. So that's another thing that I don't want nobody to make that mistake, man. Keep them grades up and stay focused.
Yep.
Girls gonna always be there. The bars gonna always be there. The clubs gonna always be there. But basketball, a young man's sport, man. They're not in the business on giving guys contracts who are past a certain age who haven't already proven themselves and done something. You see it every day. You see Carmelo Anthony, he the same age as me. I'm 37. I think he's 38, a year older. Is he good enough at his age to still get a bucket and play in the league? Of course.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, he's 38. He's 38.
Yep.
Just like my last stint in Thailand before I came home in June. I said to myself, I was happy to begin. I came to the coach one day. We got blown out in our first game. I said, Coach, maybe to give some of these young guys some more PT, man, because you playing all these 30-plus guys who can still play, but we can only do but so much. We are looking like the Lakers from 2 years ago. I said, give some of these young guys some burn, man. Give them a chance.
Yep.
Gave them some chances. Some of them proved themselves. What did he do next? Take my PT time away, which I knew that was a chance of that happening, but I see the writing on the wall. Did I whine? Did I complain? No. I sat there and I stayed ready because I knew these young bulls are going to make a mistake. At the end of the day, it's always room to put the veteran in at the right time. You need a vet out there.
Mm-hmm.
So they going run around and use all their young legs and energy. But I know when it's a veteran on, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I know he going to put me in the game.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he did, and I earned my playing time back. You know what I'm saying? So that's an example right there. If I would have sat there, he knew I was a vet. He knew I deserved the respect to be out there. But at the end of the day, I had my turn. I've been playing for 10 plus years. These kids, 18, 19, 17, 21, they gotta get their feet wet.
Yep.
Then how they gonna learn? You know? So guys need to know this is a young man's sport. And the last thing I want to put in, the world needs more baseball players, needs more doctors, needs more lawyers, needs more American football players, needs more soccer players, needs more boxers, whatever other sport out there that I ain't mentioned, swimmers, whatever. The world don't need more basketball players. So you could be replaced Just like that. Whether it's a person that look like you, a person who don't look like you, your age, older, younger, it's somebody that's just as good as you or better than you or not as good as you that don't bring the headache and the heartache. You could be replaced in a heartbeat, whether it's high school, collegiate, professional, any level. So don't think you're irreplaceable. Don't think, oh, I'm so good I can't be replaced. I've seen it happen to the best of them.
And you can lose that contract, you can lose that scholarship offer, anything. I mean, what was that? What was that like? '05. You had the young dude that was going out to Power Five school, right? Ends up with the case, doesn't end up going to that particular Power Five school. Ends up finding another one, which he had to pay his own way. But if I'm not mistaken, that guy is like the number one scorer in a state history out east. So it's like number one guy, state's history, averaging 50 some odd points a game. They took the scholarship from that guy. You're not that guy. And some of these guys don't understand they're not that guy. But they took it from that guy. But you're going to go and supersede him? Nah, it don't work like that. It's always an order. And you messing up the order.
You got to play your role and position. If you was the number one guy and you go there on the next level and they want you to be a catch and shooter, you got to do it. They want you to Patrick. I tell people Patrick Beverly a perfect example. Everybody say he ain't this. He's terrible. He ain't good. He kicked for a buck. Yo, that's casual fans speaking. You know what I'm saying? Basketball fans know Patrick Beverly was a bucket in high school. He was a bucket in college. But guess what? They noticed what he did the best was play defense. So when he got I believe he said he went to Miami Heat. They cut him, ended up with the Rockets. They had their scorers. So they said, look, go out there and do what you do best and go play D. Period. You think that man was happy? No. Certain guys can get away with that. Certain guys can't. That's what one guys understand. You got to play, especially if you're getting paid. You got to do it. You on a scholarship. You got to play the position that they want you to play. When I played in Singapore, my teammate Maines from Chicago, Maines shot 30, 40 shots a game. 6'5" was a scorer. Averaged like 30 a game, like 29, 28 points a game. I only averaged 6 points a game, 12 points in the playoffs. Because guess what I had to do? I had to just sit in the corner and play off him. When I had dudes guarding me that was half my size, you know what I'm saying? And I could get a bucket on at any time. But that's what the coach wanted I had to do. Or guess what would have happened if I didn't sit me home, man? And sit me home. Used to be killing these dudes in practice every day, looking at the coach like, seriously? You got me over here just to like play 10, 12 minutes a game? And I'm overseas as a pro? What's wrong? You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that, man. You got to be disciplined, yo. You got to be disciplined. I see it all the time, man. Jimmer for that. Hell of a scorer in high school. One of the best scorers I've ever seen in my 37 years in college. You know what I'm saying? Came to the NBA. Told that man. Tried to make that man a pass first point guard. Anybody been watching him play? That ain't in his game at all.
Nah.
That's what happened. College player of the year, national player of the year, best player in college, and hands down, wasn't number one pick. I don't think he was. Matter of fact, I think he was a lottery pick, but it was deep down, or maybe late first round. I can't remember where he was selected at. Went over there, told him that he was. From what I hear, I don't know if it's true. I hear he wasn't having it. You know what I'm saying? Went over to China. Every time I watch a game over there, he having 50, 70.
Right? He be balling over there.
If you gonna go over to China and get 60, 70, 80 points in a game over there, then that means if you in the league over here, you can at least get 20. You can at least get 10. If you give it the green light. There's other thing people don't understand. You gotta be given that green light, man. If you ain't got that green light, you can't get 30. You know what I mean? Even you don't have that role. Period. So I hope all the guys that you young fellas you coach, man, I hope they can look at this. You know, I go into a monologue. They're really passionate about this, but I hope I'm an inspiration to all them guys, to anybody watching that either was the man or wasn't the man. Get in the gym, work your ass off. You know what I'm saying? Watch videos, learn from the greatest, learn from the coaches, do what you got to do. Play against people who are better than you. Play against people who are garbage when you're injured. I tell people, play against the bums when you're rehabbing, when you're injured, when you're not 100%. Play against the guys that's on your level when that's all that's around. But when you got the opportunity, play against people who are better than you, because they're going to teach you things that the guys that are just as good as you or worse than you that can't teach. That's how every great player got to where they got. Kobe Bryant is one of the best two guards, in history. Arguably Michael Jordan you could put in front of him, in my opinion. Kobe got his ass bust every day by his cousin Reef. Every day, Reef was better than him. He couldn't beat him one-on-one. He bust his ass every day. Then who turned out to be the better player? Kobe. That's how you get better. Michael Jordan. His brother, I think his name Jeffrey. People don't know number 45. The number 23, half of 45 is 22. My math ain't that great, 22 point something. He made it 23 to say he was only half as good as his brother. His brother made him as good as he is. That's when he took the number 45, because when he realized he was better or just as good as his brother. All the greats got great. Reggie Miller, his sister, sadly, sorry Reggie, everybody on the planet, no, before you went to the NBA, his sister was a better basketball player than you. Way better basketball player than you. How did he get as good as he got? Playing against his sister. This man is on camera saying that. He knew his sister was the better player. Period. Why is the Ball brother, LaMelo, the best one out of the three? Because his older brothers was busting his ass every day. And the younger ones, the less talented ones, always are the ones watching. You know? So that's the best advice I want to give to guys. And it's the same thing with a job, anything else. No now is no later. No later is yes in the future. You know, you gotta fail in order to succeed. You can't have everything handed to you and think that it don't work like that.
Yep.
You know, and it's gonna be nights and it's gonna be days where you're gonna say, I wanna give up. I don't wanna play this game no more. It's too hard. It's too many somebody cool call me, mess up the joint. It's politics. It's too much. You know, but if it's nothing wrong with having those feelings and thinking that way, it's nothing wrong with crying, getting emotional, you know, when you get cut, whatever. But at the end of the day, this ain't for you if you gonna quit. Because I'm telling you, the game of basketball will definitely make you a quitter or want to be a quitter if you never were a quitter. Because it's one of the most competitive, I would say, arguably, sports in the world. It's one of the hardest sports to make pro, in my opinion. In my opinion, is what I think. Baseball, they can get you from a park. They can get you from anywhere. Oh, yeah, come sign with the Yankees, come sign with our AAA, AA team. American football, you could come from a JUCO, D3, anywhere. Oh, damn, this boy can catch the ball. Oh, he got this many sacks. You'll go right there. Same with any other sport. When it comes to basketball, yeah, you could go to the league from JUCO, NAIA, D3, D2, D1. It's a much harder grind, man. It's a lot of judgment. You know, it's a lot more politics, in my opinion, with basketball.
Yeah.
First thing I say, oh, he ain't D1. What's wrong with it? Oh, he must not be that good. Oh, he playing here. He JUCO. Nobody don't even Sometimes they don't even care to know your backstory. They don't even know that maybe you there because you was sick, or you had to take care of your mother, or you couldn't take that D1 offer, so now you're eligible. Your 5-year D1 clock is up, so now you got to go here. And it's the only sport where they say they force you to go to college for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else can go be pros right away whenever they feel like it. But we got to go to college for a year. You mean? We have to. You know, we got to go to the G League. We got to be at least 19 or have a late birthday. So all these rules and speculations with basketball, man. It's so much, you know. So I hope I'm an inspiration, like I said, to whoever's watching this, and to know, look, man, got to grind, because nobody's going to give you a scholarship, especially nobody's going to give you a contract because they feel sorry for you and know how bad you want it. It doesn't work that way.
Yep. Those end up being crocodile tears. That's the way they're going to look at it. We had a kid on the same wavelength with what you're saying. His freshman year, he barely played 19 games. I think he played a total of maybe 200 minutes. Gets to the sophomore year, and teams are asking our head coach, like, where'd you get him from? He was on the team last year. He just showed up in the summer. And he went from not playing, JUCO All-American. That was the first JUCO All-American we had since we've been here. And it was just kind of like he came up out of nowhere. And what people thought, like, no, he just worked. He had whatever Division II scholarship he wanted. He turned those down because he wanted to be a college coach. So he ends up eventually moving on to Missouri. He's at Missouri with Michael Carter. Not Michael Carter. What's my guy that's on the Nuggets right now? I can't think of his name.
Dang.
Yep.
His name right.
Can't think of his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Can't think of him. But he's at no, not Kevin Porter. Kevin Porter, he down in Houston.
Houston.
It's Porter Jr. Porter Jr.
Yeah.
He was there with the Porter boys, and it's just kind of like, well, he ended up in that situation because he wanted to be a college coach. But again, in that situation, it was ended up being good because he goes there, like I said, turned down the scholarships, goes there, does the walk-on thing. Well, the first coaching staff, they get fired. Well, then here comes Kunzo Martin. So now you got connection to 2 different coaching staffs. So look at the way that worked out for him. So now if he does want to get into this coaching thing, he's got 10, 12 coaches that, vouch for him because they know his work ethic. That ultimately gets him over to Akron. So he ends up being a grad assistant over there at Akron, gets the master's degree paid for. So it's all about how you play the system. Because the system is in place for a reason. But it's how you play it so that way you can actually not necessarily profit from it, but at the same time, you can go and do the things you want to go and do with basketball as far as it like using you, as a lot of people say is their cliche statement.
Use the sport. Don't let it use you.
Mm-hmm.
That partying and all that stuff with women that your college coach is going to let you get away with most of the time, you go. I can't speak on the NBA. I never played in the NBA. But going overseas, I'm telling y'all, man, them coaches is not going for you going out every night, messing with their women, coming in practice whenever you feel like, drinking, coming hungover the next day. Ain't nobody they ain't going for none of that, man. If that coach tell y'all curfew is at 10 o'clock on a Friday, I'm a grown man. Yeah, okay. You go out there and break that joint if you want to and see if you ain't on the first thing smoking. I was out Mongolia with my teammate, man. I see firsthand. Dude went out when he told us to stay in the crib, went out, thought he had it like that. Man, I came back in there, man. It might have been not even 48 hours, man. That man had all his stuff packed. I came in, I said, what happened? What's going on? Man, they sending me home, man. It's not a game out here, man. It's not a game. They will send you home if you don't perform, and definitely if you don't follow protocol. If you're not staying in shape, you come out there in shape, and then you play yourself out of shape, BSing. They ain't going for it, man. Especially if you're an American. Okay, especially a black American or American in general, we supposed to be the best basketball players on the planet. no excuses. It was you mean I'm out of shape, yo? I ain't touch a ball in like a few weeks, or don't nobody want you go out there and get yourself handed to you, and please believe them foreigners in them countries is trying to go at you. Every practice, they're trying to go at you. They're trying to go. They're picking you up 94. Let me see if he can really dribble. You know, let me pressure him, because a lot of them guys may not be as talented, but they got the work ethic, and they will be in shape, and they will see if you are what people say you are, or if you are who you say you are. Go out there and sleep on these dudes if you want. You see a dude in Thailand, China, somewhere, South America, and he's 5'7", look like he got a beard. Sleep on him if you want. You know what I'm saying? People, I see dudes get embarrassed, man. And understand, y'all, stop listening to the media. Stop looking on Facebook and like people making fun of Dwight Howard and it's not as sweet over in them countries as what y'all think it is, man. It's not as sweet. I've seen dudes I'm gonna go out here and drop 40. Go out there and have 6 points and go home the next day. It ain't, especially if you ain't in shape and you sleeping on them. Because remember, you got nothing really to prove. One thing you got to prove is that you actually can play. You ain't got nothing to prove as an individual. You a black man or an American. Y'all known for being the best ball players. But you out in some of these places, they got something to prove. Like, a lot of these countries is up and coming, and basketball not even their main sport. You know, the only country I can think of where basketball is the main sport is the Philippines. It's more of a main sport over America. Mm-hmm. And Spain, most of these countries is soccer before anything. Cricket. It's all other types of stuff. So at the end of the day, they got something to prove. Don't go out there and get yourself embarrassed and have to sit home. Because just like if you get fired from a job, or if you commit a criminal act on your record, same thing. You got sent home, that's going to be on your record that you got sent home. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that will be on your record that you got sent home.
And that's the first thing they're going to ask about. Like, what's this? What's this?
Yep. And if it ain't about, my mom was sick or my grandma's funeral or some reason, that's excusable. Or some other reason, I got injured and they just moved in another direction. They needed to make a push for the player. Yo, you got sent home because you couldn't follow directions or you couldn't be a professional. Man, somebody gonna have to be really calling in a bunch of favors, man. They gonna give you a chance.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing I wanted to ask you about. As far as being overseas, because I know you hear it. Everybody think they can just go over there and just do their thing, like, or whatever. As far as foreign teams, how many Americans can they actually have on a team, though?
It depends on where you are. I never played on a high level. I only played on a low, mid-level, but the rules are pretty much the same. And what happens is most leagues allow either 2 or 3 imports at a time. Some countries are even stricter, where, like, when I was in Singapore, we could have 3 imports, but only 2 could be on the court at a time. Mm. So it depends. And what a lot of overseas teams do is they cheat, basically, legally. They basically find somebody that's like a half, that like got ancestry in their country or something. Like they might, like in Thailand, they might have an American that has like a Thai grandmother. Or you might go to, like, in Europe, you might have an ancestor or great grandparent that's English, And what they do is they cheat. So they'll grab an extra import and count them as a local. But most of these places, you can only have 3, and only 2 can be on the court at a time, stuff like that. It's normally 1 guard and 1 big, or 1 guard and 1 wing. Or because most of the time, most overseas teams, if you know, I know you know this, well, guys that know, it's another thing for guards. It's hard for us. We come a dime. That's another thing I forgot. We come a dime a dozen. So they're normally, most teams are looking for a big, or a win. Guards is the last thing on their mind. Now, on the higher levels, like the Euro League, China, they'll grab a big and a guard. But most of these leagues in between and the lower level, they want bigs and wings. So if you ain't at least 6'5", 6'6" and above, it's going to be hard to even get over there.
Mm-hmm. And I be trying to tell people that too. It's like, well, I'm just gonna go do this. It's like, no, you cannot. And I had forgot whether it was 2 or 3, and I got into that argument with somebody one day. I'm like, you know they can't let the entire country of America over there just to play, to entertain people. I was like, what do you think the Nationals are gonna feel about that? Oh yeah, you got a point. It was like, but then they wanted to challenge my point that I had a point. It was like, hold a minute. So let me come into your neighborhood, tell y'all that y'all can't play, you're not good enough, and then I'm gonna go pay somebody else? Like you just said, somebody gonna come at you. They got something to prove. What you over here for? This the contract I want. And it's just nothing but more competition. And then for us, that's in a smaller size, it's gonna be even more difficult.
They don't get paid as much as the imports, and most of them got day jobs to where they miserable, and like all you over there for is to play ball and get honeys. And maybe do some clinics, show your face, train some kids, do some camps here and there. That's it. Them dudes is at 9 to 5 jobs, and when they get off, they going straight to practice. They going home tired. They got to get up and go to work the next morning. You know what I'm saying? Got families. So a lot of them dudes, they angry coming in the practices, man. I see the dudes all the time come in with their suits on, coming from the office. You know, it's a grind, man. It's a grind. Even with the FIBA qualifiers, they got certain rules with all that. I mean, we the only country, not saying there's something wrong with it, but we the only country when it comes to the game of basketball. I don't know what happens with other sports, but on a pro level, we have no limit on how many foreigners can come join the NBA. We have no limit on how many foreigners can play in the NCAA. But over there, they have limits on how many foreigners can play on the collegiate teams or play professional. Like in Asia, for example, they got this thing where in all the Asian pro leagues, they got this thing where, like, I say you in let's say you in Thailand, and it's a Thai pro team, and they got rules where like they can have like 3 imports, but it'll be like this: 2 non-Asian imports that could come from any country outside of continental Asia, whether it's Europe, Africa, North, South, Central America, wherever. And then they have an Asian import where it could be an import, but he has to come from an Asian country. So they might, like a team in Thailand might have 2 Americans and 1 import from the Philippines. Or they'll have an import from maybe Taiwan, playing in Singapore, and then you might have a player from Africa and then a player from Australia. A lot of countries in Asia got rules like that, because for some reason, I don't know why, but who makes these rules, but that's how they make these rules. Or they have rules where, like I remember my agent tried to enter me in the KBL, the draft over in Korea, and they had this rule where you had to be, if you're an import, you had to be at least 6'4". Why? I'm assuming so all the pros in that country don't have to compete with you because you a bigger player, bigger position. Now they got the rules where players got to be under. I was in Thailand. I remember one of the teams. It was like a rule where we couldn't have more than, I think, 5 players that were over 190 cm, which is like 6'4". Because a lot of these teams in these pro leagues and like especially Southeast Asia, they have a lot of like African players that were born in Asia and their parents are immigrants. So like they count as locals, just like a Thai. So what they do teams aren't all stacked up, they make these rules where you can have so many imports outside of this continent, and your imports can't be so much over certain heights. So maybe you can have one player that's 7 foot, and then everybody else has to be below 6'4". That's the import. That's like the kind of stuff they do, because the game is changing. You got a lot more foreigners coming to America to play, and you got a lot of foreigners going abroad to play than ever before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a big point of it, because, like I said, when you hear so many people saying, hey, this is what we're going to go and do, they don't have no clue of these rules. And then it becomes a pride situation, because now I know what the rule is, and this not going to work, so let me go hide and put my face in the sand. No. You still got to work at it. That was just a no. But you just needed to know them rules and understand how much work you got to put into it, because how many people do you got to surpass in these people's eyes? Not yours, because you working, but how many people you got to surpass in these people's eyes, so that way you can get to the forefront to get to the goal ultimately that you want to have.
And it's who you know too. A lot of the times, I got lucky and just networked and worked my ass off to get the opportunity, and I performed when the lights was on. Was able to make a lane for myself. But then again, sometimes guys just don't know the right people, or don't get in the right situation and don't get the chance. Like, for example, I last played in 2019. I came home, my dog was sick, and then I got in a car accident at the end of 19, and then COVID happened. I thought I would never, as a basketball player on vacation, I thought the way the world was looking, I thought the world was coming to an end, or I thought I would never be able to leave. I thought everybody would have to stay wherever they are on the planet forever. Like that's how I felt like, and I thought my run was over. Then at the end of 2020, I dislocated my shoulder. I said, "Oh yeah, I'm done. I'm like 35. I'm done, man. Like it's no way. I gotta get surgery. It's no way. Come back from this. Came back from it. Got 100%. Got a call. My buddy called me. He's like, yeah, how far are you in your rehab? You want to still play? Come out retirement. Come out here. Gave me another chance. Went out there. Was only supposed to be out there for 3 months. Ended up being out there for 13 months. Playing on various teams. Just out there in the COVID. You know what I'm saying? On the strip that I knew somebody had the opportunity. I probably would have never played again. Right now, I'm in between just retiring and just not playing no more. If I got another opportunity to play ball again over there, it ain't going to be because somebody called up a manager or agent. I'm like, yeah, I want to bring OT over there. I'm going to bring Mark, or I want to get this guy. Or if I showed up at a camp, who going to pick a 38-year-old combo guard that's really a 2? They ain't a true point guard. At this point, if I ever played again, it'll be who I know. Somebody called me, or somebody can vouch for me. Like, look, this guy's older, but he still got some gas left. Let's get some veteran leadership on this team. That's how I got on recently. That's another thing people need to understand. It's a business, and it's who you know. Because dudes, what people don't get, they're putting their job and reputation on the line when they fly you out. They're taking a risk. So at the end of the day, do you come off like you're worth the risk? Or do you come off like, oh, I don't know about this guy. This guy going to be lazy in practice. This guy is going to party all the time. I'm going to lose my job over this guy. That's another thing people got to understand. Just like you got references before you go get a job, have a good reputation out here. Be able, someone question you, or because they coach you. One thing, you a coach yourself. Coaches they do their homework. They do their research on you. They got the internet, they got a phone, they got a network. They're going to do their research. So when they do their research on you, make sure if it's 10 coaches that you played for, that's a high number. Yes, say if it's 6 coaches you played for, hopefully all them coaches can't say nothing bad about you. Because you might have 10 coaches and one might have some bad stuff to say about you. And maybe you're lucky that they didn't get in contact with their coach. But I tell guys, don't have guys that had nothing bad to say about you. Let it be all positive stuff. So if they have them doubts and they go do their homework on you, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm tripping. I was wrong about this guy. And then when they bring you over and you do what you're supposed to do, tell guys all the time, man, that's important too, man.
Yep, most definitely.
Yep.
Well, I do thank you, my brother. I don't want to hold you up, but here's one thing that I do that's unique about my podcast, man. The last segment that I have is called Trophy Time. Trophy Time is just for you. Whatever you got going on business wise, if you starting something, if something's been going on, anything you trying to bring light to that's positive, my dude, floor is yours.
Okay. Well, like as I said, I'm halfway in the door of retirement. So for the past, 7 years, I've been doing basketball training. I've been teaching young kids as young as 4 years old, all the way up to elementary, middle school, high school, young adults. I give one-on-one. I founded OT Skills and Drills Academy. I founded that here in my hometown of Philadelphia. I give lessons at the JCC Kaiserman on Harrison and City Line Avenue. I also travel and do camps and do collaborations with different ex-teammates and opponents of mine in the countries where I played from time to time every year for a few months out of the year. I also have my own athletic apparel brand called OT Sportswear. I also have, which is based out of Thailand. I also have an urban clothing brand called Pro Shit. It's something that I started. It was a phrase I said to someone one day when playing pickup. I was like, I hit him with like some kind of move. I remember I was like, that's Pro Shit. And then my buddy of mine had an idea, like turn it into something. Now I got NBA guys saying it. I got people all over hashtagging it all over the place. That's what I got going on. I mentor young guys on not just basketball, on life, on and off the court. I'm just trying to prepare the next journeyman, the next guy like myself that's not a household name, that didn't have nothing handed to him on the court, to motivate them. Because if I could give my blueprint to the journeyman, then to the guys that aren't journeymen, it'll make their job 10 times easier. Okay? So that's all I really got. That's the best, because what I want to do is I want to mentor guys, because I didn't have nobody really mentoring me. I just luckily had the drive in me, and I didn't have the quit in me. And everybody ain't fortunate to have that mindset. Some people need a little bit of support and mentorship to make them understand that it's not easy and you have to keep going. So, I'm always open, guys. Random people reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, inbox me, tell me I played with this relative of theirs or that person, or they've been watching me, and how can I give them advice on how they can pre-professionals. Feel free. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Marques OT Singleton. You can reach me out on Instagram. I have nothing that I don't want to give. I always have something that I can give. I'm like, so anybody feel free to have a question about anything, not the basketball related, non-basketball related. I'm here. I can help you, because I want to be the next inspiration to the next journeyman to get to where he needs to get to in life, period, whether it's on or off the court.
For sure.
I have all that going on. I also have an online dog supply business that I dedicated to my dog that I lost to cancer a few years ago. Has a lot of clothes, food, toys, all that kind of stuff. So if anybody wants to reach out to me after this interview, I'm more than welcome to help whoever, whenever, about whatever.
For sure. And I'll make sure everything's linked in the description, my guy. I do appreciate you.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate Casey plugging us. If you don't know, Casey used to be a manager of mine when I used to do street ball and all that. Yeah, man. He helped me get to not with my collegiate, my professional career, but the little bit I had on the street ball, had me playing in games out in New York, had me up in New York, got me in close with the N1 guys, helped me with opportunities. I'm not sure exactly where I met Casey at, but Casey, I was one of Casey's first clients, and we stayed in contact throughout all these years. And, so I want you guys to know, like that example right there, man. I met this guy, I'm 37 years old. I met Casey probably when I was like 17, 18 years old. You mean? And now he has plugged me, and now I'm doing an interview talking about my career, man. So, guys, man, ladies and gentlemen, same to the ladies. I'm sorry I left y'all out. Same thing goes for y'all, man. Grind, and take advantage of every opportunity that's out here, because they're out here, and God works in mysterious ways, and you never know who you're talking to or who you're meeting.
Yep, for sure. So that's where we're going to end it, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
Go. Yeah. I got it. We on the move. We on the move.